Liberia is our only home. Liberia is our only home. We cannot sit and watch Liberia die. Liberia is our home. Liberia is our home. The only home we know. Let's fight to bring it back. Take it from the rogues. Take it from the thieves. Let us punish them. Liberia is our home. Liberia is our home. All you patriots rise. The time has come to end the massive stealing of our wealth. Rise, oh patriots. Rise, my patriots. Time to get our nation back. Liberia is our only home. We cannot sit and watch Liberia die. Liberia is our home, the only home we have. Rise up, patriots. Rise up, loyalists. Commander Chesson is calling the order of the day. Liberia is our home, the only home we know. Liberia cannot die. We owe it to our parents. We owe it to our elders. We owe it to the ancients. We owe it to our parents. Liberia cannot die. Rise up, oh patriots. Rise up, oh loyalists. Liberia is our home, the only home we have. Fight, fight for Liberia. Fight, fight for our freedom. Fight, fight to free Liberia. Liberia is our home, the only home we ever know. Liberia is our pride, the inheritance we have. Rise, patriots, rise, loyalists, rise, Liberians. Follow Commander Chesson. Follow Commander. Follow Commander Chesson. Rise, rise. Attorney Commander Chesson shall lead the order. Save Liberia. Free Liberia. Follow Commander Chesson. He will set the path. He will set the path. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Attorney Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. Today is the 15th day of the month of July. We rise this morning with 6 more days to 26 days. What do we have to show for our independence? 170-something years. What do we have to show for our country? You can see from our board today, Liberia got her own bad boys for life. Her own bad boys for life. And it's not only these two, but these two are in the hottest seat right now. Eugene, Lenn, Nagbe, to my far right, and Darius, Dillon, Darius Dillon, Senator of Liberia. These are the two boys leading the pack right now. You know, we got the other boys now. I listed the other boys there. Let me put my topic up so you can see the other boys. Get to be acquainted with them. Get to know them. Know what they stand for. Know how they like and all of that. You know. So let me put my topic up and let's see the other bad boys of Liberia. It should be up in a minute. Yes. Yeah, the bad boys for Liberia. The bad boys. Just a few of them. I'm not listening to old bad boys. I'm listening to new bad boys of Liberia. Today's topics. Liberia's bad boys for life. Darius Dillon. Eugene Lenn Nagbe. Tokpah. George Weah et al. 2. COVID-19 and Liberia. 3. The truth shall set us free. We need to be free. Whether my people believe it or not, we need to be free. We have been caught in this circle of corruption, of deaths, of lies, of treachery since 1980. Since 1980, we have been caught in this thing. And we can't get out of it. We cannot seem to get out of it. We've been having bad boys in our community and society since 1980 to this very day. We've been having bad boys. Why? Why have we been having bad boys? Because our system broke down. Our leaders were killed. And since our independence to today, when I look back at our history, it seems so short. Because all we ever known in our history is Tokpah. Tokpah took over all the past history. Because none of our leaders in our history have ever led for 27 years. Tokpah came and took over 3 or 4 presidencies that were not his. So we have one president serving so many terms that even we began to believe that Tokpah couldn't die, that Tokpah was there for life. That's how I felt as a young Liberian. I was 12 or 13 years old when Tokpah died. And I tell you, I can't describe how Monrovia was. Our country was dead after Tokpah. Everybody just was silent. That whole week when Tokpah died, everything in Liberia nearly came to a standstill. First of all, most of us couldn't believe that Tokpah could die. As young as I was, I couldn't believe that Tokpah could die. Every morning I woke up, you hear Tokpah, President Tokpah did it. All my life almost. And yeah, it was I as 13 years old when they put on the radio that Tokpah was dead. It was unbelievable. Because this man had reigned out so long, everything we knew was Tokpah. Everything we thought was Tokpah. Everything we did was Tokpah. Now all of a sudden he just disappeared out of our life and lives. You wouldn't believe it. Liberia could not believe that Tokpah was dead. You see, and this is the thing we can't repeat in our history. We can't repeat it. We can't have another king. We can't have another master. We can't have another Tokpah. No, it's not good for us. Look at how many years we're still reeling from Tokpah. From the time Tokpah became president of Liberia, our country was reeling. Because he came first with the ideal to change. Then I bet his own people started complaining about the change. Just like Ellie, he slackened up. He drew back and allowed the corruption to take over. And you see, this is the problem we are suffering from today. Because Tokpah trusted his family because they were educated. They were educated. The same thing Ellen did to us. She trusted her children over the Liberian people. And that what caused Tokpah's demise. It's not that Tokpah put all his relatives, his children in power. No, but his brother alone, Steve Tokpah at the finance ministry, created enough havoc in society to turn people against the Tokpah government. Because Stephen Tokpah started seeing if it wasn't the Tokpahs, it was Liberia. It wasn't Liberia, it was the Tokpah. And you can't do that. And to demonstrate it, he started pointing cousins here, cousins there, cousin Willie here, cousin Willie there, and all of that. And some people despise that. And most of the people who were seeking land from were prominent Liberians, trying to squeeze their lands out of them. And plenty of people despise that. So that was Tokpah downfall. When the trouble came, there was nobody there to back Tokpah. Everybody had their hands down. And that what nepotism brought us. And that wasn't even bad as Ellens. Tokpah never put his children, real children in government. That was his brother and the mature people. Frank and Steve and all of that. But Frank had been in government for long. Steve was the new one. So Steve started bringing about gambling in the country. And the country was booming. Liberia was booming. The cash was in the country. The cash was flowing. But the morale of the country was dying. It was dying. There were too many things Tokpah was doing that was unconventional. You know, having a compound on live virgins, having his farm competition yearly, competing with all the farmers, didn't know when to stop. And every year he was winning the competition. It became, there was diminishing returns on all his efforts. They experienced diminishing returns. Why? Because you can only do certain things so much, and the demand dies. And the supply becomes overplus. Then you have a broken down system. Supply has to meet demand. When Tokpah was doing all these things in a positive way, participating in a rice competition, who else will compete with the president? The president is the richest man with the best farm. All the people working on his farm. He got the most modernized equipment in Liberia. So Tokpah was situated to win every rice competition, which he did. But it became consistent now. He should have taken himself out of that competition. After he won the first competition, show the people how to grow rice, how productive he could be. He should have taken himself out of that rice competition and let the Liberian people compete who needed the money more than him. But he didn't. He kept winning the rice competition, winning the rice. And that was asinine. You the richest man in the country, you the president, who expect to win? So that was the first problem with Tokpah. Then he brought Steve in, his brother, who was this world wealthy man. Steve Tokpah had Rolls Royce. He had built the Tokpah fishery into an international business. The Tokpah company had head offices in London. Steve Orion Rolls Royce. And when his brother appointed him finance minister, he went nuts. He wanted to buy up people's property by force. And worst of all, he wanted to bring casino in Liberia. And it was going to work. The president was for it. A lot of the rich guys were for it. But the church wasn't for it. The poor people knew that, not the poor people, but the sensible people in Liberia knew that if we brought gambling, it would help only a few. And the masses of the people would end up impoverished because they would start going for luck with all their salaries, with all their money, and we have more social problems than we could handle. So the church kicked against it. The Liberian Council of Churches said, no, no, no. And apparently, the rumor was that Steve Tokpah had already taken money from whoever he had taken it from, promising them to bring the casinos in Liberia. And Liberia is a Christian country. It's a religious country. Everybody kicked against it. Every church kicked against it. All the big religious people kicked against it. You know it wasn't going to stand. So Steve Tokpah met his demise. We don't know whether it's because of the business he was bringing and promised people. We don't know it was because of a technical error on his plane. We don't know what. But there were so many rumors coming out. But Tokpah plane crashed and he died in the ocean. So we have this whole thing led to a civil war, led by the same Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the same woman who praised him today, the same woman that got our country backward today, that put George Weah in power, that got us where we are today. That's the woman Tokpah brought. And that's the woman who undermined his efforts and mastermind his own removal from government. Then she took over from 1980 to 2006, nothing but interim governments here and there. Then Charles Taylor came and took over from 2000 to 2006. Then Ellen got there, removed Charles Taylor, her general. Charles Taylor, Yeke Kaluba, and Prince Johnson, all the guys worked for Ellen. She was their leader. After Charles Taylor and Bernard Ure, Charles Taylor met Bernard Ure up in Banga or Kakata there, and they formed the alliance. They decided to get to diss Ellen. And they diss Ellen. So she got pissed off, and she got the Prince Johnson and all the other guys, and they started forming the Ulimo I, Ulimo J, and all these factions just to fight Charles Taylor from the same Charles Taylor group, but they were under Ellen Johnson influence. So now we now come today to the same Ellen Johnson selling with our country. And we are come today now with some of the same criminals that were progressives. They call themselves Tokpah progressives. All in here today now. Set it down. Nobody trusts them. Nobody will vote for them to lead this country, and they know it. So they have resigned themselves to just being fictions in our community. You don't hear nothing but the progressive no more. They mess our country up and just leave it to this useless George Weah and his bad boys. So here we are today in the same 6 and 7. Chambo family. All the alphabet soup. Chambo family. Oh, we inside. We inside. We inside. Until we come to our senses and stand as men and women of Liberia. We inside. We inside. We inside the corruption. We inside the stealing, massive stealing. We inside the continual lies. We in the deception. We in the betrayal. We in the treacherous behaviors. We inside. We are inside. And we can't come outside. We can't come outside until we make our conscious minds up to change our country. That's the only way we get out of this debacle we're in. Total failure we're in. Our country is a failure. Look at our leaders. Look at these people right behind me. Immature. These people are supposed to be setting examples to raise our people from mat to mattresses, to change the lives of our people. This has been Tokpah plan. From Tokpah time, we've been talking about lifting our people from mat to mattresses. And our people, every time we lift them out, they drop. Boom. Every time we lift them out, they drop. Boom. We're hurting our people. We try to lift them up, and we can't. Why? Because we are not in sync. We are not operating as a body. When we can't operate as a body, we can't even pick a feather up. We can't even pick this pen up. No, if you got a group of people acting in concert or in uniformity, and there's a lack in the line, it will fail. That's why we can't move together in solidarity. That's why we can't move together in unity, because there's always a lack in the line that unites us. Why? Greed, deception, lies, want to be like other people, treachery. Now look at Nagbe here. Now look at Nagbe. Sitting there eating, talking about he and somebody in food competition. They've been doing it for years. So he put the food competition over the interest of the Liberian people. Selfish. Because this is the thing that people are talking about. How our bad boys have no consciousness of their duties and responsibilities to the Liberian people. They put their personal interest before the Liberian people and think that their interest is the Liberian people's interest. Why? Why y'all gotta do like this? Huh? You know that you can't sit down and eat like this and be posting it all before the Liberian people. You go into all the best restaurants in Liberia. Why? Because God bless you and elevate you, so you think you have the right to display your opulence This is the same thing Ellie Joseph said he's talking about. But she put you there. She the cause of it. She can't talk. She just as bad. And look at our apologizing senator here. Always apologizing. Look at Ava Tokpah. The same man that encouraged people to follow George Weah. I remember Ava and I were on cutting together. Ava, my boy. I went to talk to Ava. I said something to him one day. Ava really got mad at me for the Congo country thing and started blasting me about it. And nobody was even talking about that line. But he was so much into George Weah and the nativity and the country giant and all the things that he was disillusioned. But how will my friend Ava, who's supposed to know so much book, follow a high school dropout and want us to follow him? Tell it, oh, you can't follow the man. And the man's a damn high school dropout. The man will not even listen to what you got to tell him. Then you telling us to follow the baboon. Now, here he is on Castor Show, the co-host, fighting against Weah too. You see how people that just put us in jeopardy all the time? Look at Eugene Nagbe. The man can't even say what vaccine he took. They ask him, you took a vaccine? Yes, I went to Dubai to do it. Can you tell us what you took? No, I'm not displaying it because this and that, because I don't want the Liberian people to think this and that. Oh man. Why y'all people let us down at this? Why are people just shame us over greed and nonsensical nonsense? Why? But you see that all our young people doing it. All our bad boys, want to do things with impunity. Won't violate the laws any way they can. And these are the people that came to change all of that, to make our country better, to set standards and laws, to govern us in a better way. And these are the same people. These are the same people. Because I was watching Dova Junior's show where he had Sir Johnny talking to Darius and telling him, y'all the people, you're making all the noise when you're coming in the Senate, and you will be the same way. And they were pointing to the point that Darius did it in the same way now. They were talking against all the Senate, and now they're in the Senate. They're doing some of the same things. But we got to set our country straight. We got to set all these bad boys back on the path. Because they can't be bad more than us. We are the sovereign. We are the people. We are the state. Who are these little 2 people and the 4 people and 5 people causing havoc, wreaking havoc in our country? We got to reel these people in. And we got to let them know. We got to let them know that they are here to serve us. They are not our masters. And it will permit them to continually take the laws into their hands. Use our resources as their personal resources. Our leader recycle them from government to government and government. Like we have nobody else, no other Liberians that can do this job but these people. This is insanity. This is insanity. And it's time for us to stand up against some of these appointments and tell our leaders, no. You can't appoint the same person from the interim government era to the same era. You just being appointed. Sometime in our lifetime, we got to stop serving the government and they got to tell us go. Sometime. And more this time come apparent that if we don't stop these people, their selfishness, their greed, their animosities, And all these things play upon the masses of the Liberian people. When we recycle these rogues from the 1970s, 80s, you keep recycling these people, then you expect them to change. You expect them to act better. It's the same thing like doing the same thing over and over but expecting a different outcome. It's the same thing when employing the people over and over, the same people over and over, and expecting the job to change. How the job will change when the people have no new ideas, no new principles to bring to the table? It will not change. So yeah, we are stuck with all these bad boys. We are stuck with all these bad boys that feel entitled to lead, that feel that they have the answers to the Liberian problem. And some of them are the problems themselves. So how do we deal with these kind of people? How do we let them know that Liberia is greater and far better than the shenanigans, than the BS, than the immaturity, than the wannabe situation? Because if you're a leader, you know that you have responsibilities and duties that you must fulfill. But if you're not a leader and want to be a leader, you will be on a little path of not knowing what you want to do. That's why we need leaders. We don't need everybody coming out of college to lead us too. We need both kind of leaders. Leaders with book sense and leaders with common sense. That's why people base jobs on either education plus experience or experience. Or experience. How many years you serve in the situation? How you handle the situation? Sometimes education, it will afford all the knowledge, but not the attitudes that we need to carry on these jobs. So it behooves us to watch our Liberian bad boys and check their behaviors. As hard as we can, check their behaviors. Let them know we're not going back to 1960s. We're not going back to so say one, so say all. Our country got to change. Look at our eastern region, still back in the 1800s. Why the rest of our country moving forward? Why? Why? Because our leaders think more about themselves than the people they're leading. We think about ourselves, and it needs to change. We need to think about the more important things in our lives, which are our future, our children. How do we secure them? How do we provide the best education for them so they can be better than us, so they can see further than us? How do we afford them the opportunity to live in a wholesome, functional society where they wouldn't be playing in stench and dirt and feces and walking through feces-infested water? But our whole country, we have a sense of cleanliness, a sense of solidarity, a sense of unification, greater than ever before, further than ever before. But it's on us. Nobody can come down and say we're forced the Liberian people to do that. Nobody can come down and say we teach you and supervise you all your lives. No. We got to change. We got to punish our leaders. If we don't punish our leaders, corruption will not stop. Evil will not stop in our country. We got to punish our leaders because nobody is above the law. Nobody. You come here thinking you're above the law because you can cook and everybody look up to you. No, you fail. Why? Because nobody is indispensable. Nobody, even me. Nobody indispensable. So once we know our job, we know what our Constitution requires from us. We know what our duties and responsibilities are as Liberian citizens. Nobody can come and lie to us. Nobody can come and lead us wrongly. Nobody can come and deceive us because we have our innate principles set aside in us. From small, we have this patriotism that has been developed in us so bad that we're not traded for nothing. We prefer to die than to see Liberia die. But as it is right now, there's a need for patriots. There's a need for loyalists. There's a need for people to teach other Liberians about what it means to love your country, what it means to stand strong and fight for your country. So, my people, that's the first lesson. How do we reel in our cowboys and bad boys and make them conform to the way we want our country to be led? Not their ideals, not their shenanigans, not their BS, but what we want in our leaders. But we got to know it. If we don't know what we want, how will we place these demands upon our leaders? We have to know what we want. We have to know what kind of system we want and how we want it to be developed. And if we don't, we're just sitting ducks, waiting for the people to rob and steal us and take whatever they can with impunity. Okay? So that's my lesson. First lesson. We create our own bad boys. We create our own bad boys that people will follow. And if we sit back sometimes and look at our present, look at their track record, see where they have stood on points that have been of interest to us, we would choose the right leaders. We would handpick the right leaders. Because our leaders got to come to us. Our leaders can't expect us to go to them. They got to come to us. They got to convince us that they are worthy to be leaders of our society. Okay? And they know how to plan. They're not wasteful people. They're not people that will take things and give it away and use it when it's not thrifty or when it's not wise. So we have to consider all those things in choosing our leaders. And no matter how young our leaders are, we look at their acumens, their abilities to perform, to produce, to start and succeed, not to start and stop and back up and say we can't do it, but to start and maintain the course to success. Don't be a waste to our country. Don't take our money and waste it on foolishness. When you take our money and say we invest in this, you have to have a certain level of certainty that you are able to guide us through the process, that will not waste our country money, will not waste our country resources, will not waste our manpowers on BS. And this is what our legislature is charged with. Sitting down and making sure that every bill to pass, everything they recognize is carried through from the beginning end to the beginning to end. And that's where leadership lies. Okay? So, whatever we have to do, we have to stand firm on what we believe in, what we want to happen for us, that when we put the people in power to lead us, they will have an idea of what we want and what we stand for and what we'll not tolerate. Until our leaders are conscious of these things, until our leaders know the things that we will not tolerate. Not for peace sake, not for Jesus, not for coming down to heaven, we will not tolerate it. Not for nothing. We will hold that divine power in our hand. That when you break it, we fix it ourselves. And we fix it by punishing you. Because that's the power God gave us. What more power you want? God said, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. And if you steal my damn money, you stealing Caesar money. I will flog you. But we got to see it like that. But if we see everything there for peace sake, for forgiveness, for love, no. That's not Christianity. Jesus himself taught us to teach the children in the way that they should grow and they will not depart from it. They will not depart from it. Teach the children in the ways that they should grow and they will not depart from it. If you want your child to be disciplined and respectful and loving and kind, you can't teach them to be selfish. You can't teach them to be mama babies. You can't teach them to be papa children. You can't. You got to grow them in the way that they should grow, that they will know and have responsibility of their own will. They will know that nothing is free. From the very baby age, nothing is free. You got to work for everything. You got to have the abilities to go out and struggle for yourself. If not, you cannot. Okay? Let me get my second topic. All the things I've been talking to in the first topic bring us to this COVID-19 situation we're suffering. Why our people got to die? We died like ants during Ebola. Why would we have to die under this other pandemic? Why we got to die on every little thing that come in Liberia? Why? We don't have to. We don't have to. But if we had the leadership that cares about our people, that cares about the destiny of Liberia and Liberian people, to care most of all about the youth and our future, we'll take some time to really pay attention to our healthcare system, to want to build a viable healthcare system, to want to stop stealing the money enough to invest in our country, to make sure that we have a viable national hospital. We have viable clinics all through the counties. And we are set for everything. And not only that, we got to have massive transportation for our hospital and their ambulance services. How do we reach the people? How do we save lives? How do we help the people? And these are some of the same things we come back to talking about. Roads. Because we can't do nothing without good roads. It hampers everything we do. It hampers it. Look at our COVID-19. Let me go through our COVID-19 report for today. Right now, we got cases up to 5,276. Death, 144. New cases so far, 24 more just added today or yesterday or whatever the health gave the report. But we gotta take preventative, proactive actions in everything we do. One of the things now I see most of the people wearing masks, and that's tremendous. You see, the government had to get involved with it, arrest some people, beat some people up, rough some people up. But in the end, majority of the people followed what they had to do. So, with this COVID-19, we got to take stringent measures to save our people. We got to ensure that we meet every demand that Liberian people need. Right now, we don't have vaccines in the country. Why? Why are there no vaccines in the country? The government told us that by this week sometime, there will be 360,000 doses of vaccine available to the Liberian people. That has not occurred yet. Where we're going with this COVID-19 thing. We are blessed that all our radio stations, everybody around the community telling people to mask up, to be safe, even if you haven't gotten a vaccination, even if you haven't been tested, wear your mask. Then we see with this whole COVID-19 thing, the massive stealing going on at the airport again. $8 million disappear. We can't find it. Where the COVID-19 money? Why are people paying all this money for testing and all the things, and we can't count for the money? What's wrong with our people in money business? We have no testing equipment good enough to maintain the testing processes. We have no vaccines in the country. Even if you diagnose with a disease, we have no vaccines to alleviate the problem. So what is all this problem we're facing? Where we're coming from with all this problem? And you see, there's a problem we have to deal with. We have to deal with it. And the more new cases we get, the more deaths we get, the more spreading of the diseases we get. It hampers us. It hampers our efforts to grow as a nation, to do the work we need to do as a people. Look at in America, everything opening up again. You got big games coming. You got new stadiums and everything set up. That's because people took the initiative. We know in the beginning it was hell. It was hell because people were not used to wearing masks. People were not used to social distancing. People were not used to being isolated. So this is a new life we're living in now. This is a total new life. And if we don't conform to it, we'll die. If we don't conform to this new life, nothing will be good for us. We'll be living in a world of instability and confusion and disruption. And that's why we need to reel in our peace. We need to reel in all the people that stand for the true progress and advancement of Liberia. Our health system is a priority. Our people are priorities. And our leaders have to understand the intricate relationship between our government's relationship with our people in their care, in their safety, and above all, in the national security of our country. When our health system is consistently weak, where our doctors and responsible staff cannot have the equipment they need to treat our people, where our medical schools are lacking in teachers and people who can help us advance our new cadres of teachers, of doctors, of professionals, we have a serious problem. We have a serious problem. We have a serious problem. Because these are the young people we need to go out there and teach other people. Spread the word. And if we're not doing it from the onset, with plans, with directions, with motivative strategies, our country will fail. Our children will lose hope in education and just see it as something to just get along with. So it's important, it's important again for us to pay attention to our medical problem. For us to stop fooling around with our health system. For us to take a serious look at our major hospital, our clinics around this country, to make sure that we lay down the foundation for health and welfare, that we lay down the foundation to save our people and country, that we lay down the foundation of everything that is necessary to bring us to a wholesome functioning society. Okay? So please take heed and govern yourselves. Keep wearing your mask. Keep hoping that our society will be safe from this disease. God does not come down to talk to us. He sends us angels to let us know what we got to do. A luta continua. Let's fight this COVID-19 and get our country to the end. Okay? Now, after all is said and done, after we look to all the problems with our country, we must come to the realization of my third point. The truth shall set us free. We can't be lying about our survival. We can't be deceiving ourselves about our lives and livelihood, about what we see around us. We cannot be one-track minded and say that, oh, once we are all right, we don't give a damn for the rest. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. This is a continual and ongoing effort to save our race, to save our people. I know everything can be as we hope to have it. I know we don't have the means to do for ourselves as we would like. But I also know that if we keep on the path of stealing and lying and treachery and traitorous behavior to our country will not grow. We'll always be on the path to growing and never growing. We'll always be on the path of trying to get somewhere, but never being able to get there. And that's the truth. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So right now, it's time for me to take off. I've been here for a while. But I hope you all understand that all these things I'm telling you are truths that we must confront. All these things I'm telling you are situations in our country that are not helping us get any better. That are not helping us rise from the ashes. That are helping us rise from mat to mattresses. It's not. And we've been talking this thing since Tokpah time. Oh, we can raise ourselves from mat to mattresses. Then we're still on the mat. We're still on the mat. This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. For Liberian people, it's not acceptable. So rise up, my people. Rise up, my young children. Rise up. Because if you don't, our country will die. If you don't, our country will fail. If you don't, we'll have no hope. No hope. No hope. So we ask you people to rise. We ask you people to be patriots. We ask you people to stand strong for Liberia. Because if you don't, we'll have no truths and we'll fail. The time of Liberian people is now. Aluta! Continue. My class is done. My class is done for the day. My class is done for the day. I gotta go and do some things that must be done today. I see you people. I see you people. Keep on the struggle. Keep on the struggle. Don't give it up. Keep on the struggle. Keep on the struggle. We are people. Keep on the struggle. Keep on the struggle. Aluta!